Modern Freemasonry spread out from London 3 centuries ago. After only 10 years or so, this new club expanded to all continents. This mysterious, fascinating world seems rooted in an ancient tradition and remains aloof from the media. Freemasonry is said to exist everywhere in the world, yet no one has ever traveled around it. That's why I decided to go around the world in 80 lodges. I set off in search of its finest temples, its memory, its diversity. The aim of this long journey is to answer simple questions. What is Freemasonry today? Who are the world's Freemasons? What are they looking for? What are their beliefs? This journey begins with a short hop from London to Scotland. Scotland has had a considerable influence on the creation of English Freemasonry, for one simple reason. Scotland has always been able to preserve its traditions. This first stage is a trip through time. I went to one of the most famous lodges in the world, Mother Lodge of Scotland, number nothing. It's the local attraction of the village of Kilwinning. This is the Mother Lodge of Scotland, the lodge without a number, the oldest lodge in the world still in operation.
Originally from the Eglinton muniments to the Shaw statutes of 1599-1600 of William Shaw, the King's Master Mason, with numerous references to the Lodge of Kilwinning here being the ancient head and principal place. So this is surely the foremost, if not, as is claimed, the Mother Lodge.
The lodge has been installed since the 12th century in the abbey, of which only the ruins remain today. It was the first Mother Lodge masons who built this abbey. Sadly, a fire destroyed the lodge's ancient archives. The memory of its medieval origins has therefore been lost. Ian Doole, the worshipful master of the lodge, agrees to open the safe to show me their most precious possession.
So the most precious thing the Mother Lodge has being the early minute book, which starts in the year 1642. Many of the names here the brethren could not write, and the secretary would have written the name in the book on their behalf. However, the brethren have recorded their marks here against the name written by the brother's secretary.
In the past, few masons knew how to read and write. The stone cutters of the Middle Ages would be given a specific mark for signing the stones they had cut in order to get their wages. These masons' marks are still used today for signing the attendance register. You even find these marks in the main street. The town decided to decorate their benches with the Mother Lodge's famous masons' marks. It's a special week for the Mother Lodge because she's getting a new worshipful master. The lodge has agreed by a vote that a camera can be a fly on the wall during the preparations for this change that will take place in 4 days. This is the first time in its history that the Mother Lodge has agreed in this way to show herself to the general public. It's the custom to have an official photograph taken of the person who will remain in the lodge's archives as the worshipful master of the Mother Lodge. On all the walls, time seems to stand still. The history of this lodge is the history of Scotland. She has received kings, princes, poets, victims. a small museum exhibits the objects that tell the story of previous generations.
This is a mallet which the Mother Lodge has in the museum. The head was made from the stone of King Solomon's quarry in Israel.
Everyone's busy and getting on with what he has to do. It's been like this for centuries without any order being given.
I'm doing it.
When I was a young boy, we were looking at one of the old yearbooks, and inside the old yearbook was all these lodges with Kilwinning after them. And I couldn't understand what this meant, the word Kilwinning, why was it there? And I got an opportunity to join this lodge, and it turned out to be a very prestigious lodge to join, the oldest one in the world. I'm in the privileged position of this weekend, hopefully becoming the Right Worshipful Master of this wonderful old lodge.
It's a very, very special day, and it's something you never ever forget.
Inside the lodge building, there's also a pub open every day for the inhabitants of Kilwinning, and also for the Masons.
And I think the sense of community is particularly strong in Scotland, especially in small towns, small rural towns, who have been industrial towns, who've had tough times and very hard living. And I think it's been important for families and friends to work together to maintain the community.
In 1807, the Mother Lodge agreed to join the Grand Lodge of Scotland. Before then, she had been independent and had dozens of other lodges under her authority. And one of them had amongst its ranks the world-famous Scottish poet, Robert Burns.
And he says, man's inhumanity to man makes countless thousands mourn. What a true statement that was at that time. And even today, we are still inhumane to our fellow man. And I think the beauty of Burns is that he can say in one or two lines, which many other authors and poets can't say in a whole page.
The day of installing the new Master of the Lodge has arrived. Preparations are in full swing.
Billy, get these chairs out of the way.
The guests are awaited. They're coming from all over Scotland and the whole world. Charles passes the time. He's unaware of what awaits him this evening. This is precisely what the Masons are protecting, the beauty of that which will be revealed for the first time. This is the reason why it's forbidden to film the ceremony, except for what goes on outside the lodge. This ceremony will last for several hours, and the participants wait for the procession to get into place. The fanfare reverberates all along Kilwinning's main street. The lodge's main office bearers follow on. They are then joined by other brothers. This procession is going to get the new worshipful master who is sheltering from the rain. Ian Doole is now the past master. The new master follows at the very back of the procession. In Kilwinning, Freemasonry is at the heart of the town. It's a tradition that binds a community together, where men are Masons from one generation to the next. Charles Hughes is going to enter for the first time at the helm of the Mother Lodge, with the heavy burden of continuing what others before him have begun. He has been elected for 2 years. It's a cycle that has been repeated for centuries, and this public procession is only found here at the Mother Lodge.
When we come through the door of the Mother Lodge, we're all equal.
I'm crossing the Atlantic for the United States. For New Hampshire, to be more precise. This is where the first European colonies settled 4 centuries ago.
I enjoy Portsmouth a lot. The history here is phenomenal. The best city in the world. That's tough to say. You have the shipyard right here, which has been around for a long, long time. Portsmouth is, I believe it's the third oldest city in the United States.
The first English colonies founded the city of Portsmouth in 1623. At the time, this region was called New England. It owes its prosperity to the importance of its naval shipyards. Masonry arrived here by sea by way of merchant travelers and soldiers. In the historic center of town is a very special inn. It's a Masonic tavern. On the first floor, there's a room equipped to hold Masonic meetings. This room dates back to 1766. Like all Masonic temples, the worshipful master presides over meetings from his seat in the east. The lodge has a secretary, and the brothers sit along the sides. This temple is still in use today. Masons passing through town would stop here where they could meet each other, get a meal, and find lodgings for the night. The first lodge of Portsmouth was founded in 1736, just 19 years after the creation of Freemasonry. It's called St. John's Lodge No. 1. The town grew. Masons would leave the little temple in the Pit Tavern to meet in private houses. In 1920, they would finally decide to become property owners. They would purchase this fine residence that they restored and redecorated.
We now approach the lodge room itself.
The lodge is neoclassical in style. An English flag graces the east, for the lodge was founded under the British Empire. The Star-Spangled Banner bears 13 stars, symbolizing the 13 states that declared America's independence 40 years after the lodge was founded.
Right away, you can feel the history in that building. You can feel the energy of the past in there. There's something about all the artifacts and everything there and all the people that have gone through that you can feel that positive energy through the whole building. I went there at an open house just to hang out with everybody. I felt welcome there before I was ever even a Mason.
2013, I was elected and installed as master for the year of 2014. To be a master of the oldest continuously operating lodge of Freemasons on this side of the Atlantic Ocean, that is a hell of an honor. I remember the day that I was installed as master, I had the biggest smile on my face I had in a long time. Once I realized that I have a lot still to learn, I think that's when it made more sense and I kind of calmed down from who I used to be. Ego is kind of important in my line of work. It's cooking. There's a lot of it. And dealing with different people's egos is definitely another thing. It's taken a long time to get to that point, but it's definitely helped tremendously.
Just like the lodge, St. John's Church in Portsmouth is also part of the heritage. George Washington had been there. This church has always had very close links with St. John's Lodge. Its ministers were worshipful masters. The little cemetery testifies to that.
Pope Clement XII that gave that papal bull saying all Catholics are forbidden to be Freemasons. That I never understood. Why? It didn't make any sense to me. I know a few Catholics at St. John's that, very similar stories to myself.
You have to believe in a supreme being. Now again, that supreme being is by your interpretation. But that book symbolizes that belief. You are taking that oath on that book. So I think that's why the book, just like in a courtroom, you swear on a Bible. To tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
When joining, I was asked that same question, and I had to be honest, and I told them, directly, that I personally don't necessarily feel that any certain Bible is right for me. The feeling is what matters to me, and the fact that I feel a connection to something greater that you know, for me, that's what I believe in. I honestly thought that I was going to say that, and they were going to be like, "Oh, hold on a second. Now let's think about this," and brush it off. But you know, it wasn't like that. It was okay, and they listened to me, and they understood what I was saying, and we went on.
Portsmouth was the gateway to Masonry in the United States, and St. John's Lodge tells the story of the birth of this nation. It still retains its friendly social spirit. This lodge gave its keys to the new generation, who will bring a new modern style. Philadelphia was the first capital of America. Its name in Greek means brotherly love. It was founded on the principle of freedom of religion. Opposite the town hall is the largest Masonic complex in the world. These are the general quarters of the oldest Grand Lodge in the United States, the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania. America developed to become a great power from the 19th century onwards. American Freemasonry naturally embraced this expansion. This monumental architecture is the ostentatious expression of it.
That this organization attracted so many men who became giants in their societies. These great men who not only made themselves great, but by their membership in Freemasonry attracted great men to Freemasonry, and for that reason was a major factor in making Freemasonry great.
This grandiose architecture is typical of 19th century Masonry. These are images of another era when the greatest minds like Benjamin Franklin or George Washington wanted to be part of the fraternity. This enormous building seems strangely empty. The corridors of Philadelphia's Masonic complex are deserted. In 1980, the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania alone had 239,000 members. Today, scarcely 100,000. That's a drop of 60% in less than 40 years.
A major factor in the loss in membership is the sociological change of the societies in which we live. There was a day when there was a great deal of emphasis put on doing something for someone else. We've lost at least 2 generations of young men simply because the society is more self-centered than what we were at the time of our great numerical numbers within the craft.
This staggering fall in the number of Freemasons is widespread throughout the Western world. Its main consequences is the difficulty in preserving an architectural heritage. In New York, many temples from this time have been abandoned, turned into discotheques or concert halls, or are awaiting a buyer. The memory of men is also being erased. This is the case of the Masons who built the Philadelphia Freemasons' Hall. More than a century ago, they chose Mount Moriah Cemetery on the edge of town as their last resting place. This is not just any cemetery, it's the one in which veterans of the American Revolution lie. Today, this necropolis is itself buried under a jungle. For 40 years, these acres of brambles were a no-go area abandoned to crime and prostitution.
We're coming up in here to the Masonic section, I think.
This Masonic monument announces the entrance to the Circle of St. John. This is Mount Moriah's highest point. This section of the cemetery was reserved for Masons. This circle is beyond doubt the most imposing Masonic funeral monument in the world. This 30-foot column dominates the whole landscape. It took 10 years for these volunteers to clear just part of the graves.
It's a remarkable feeling to be here and discover something where you say, I know there's something in there, and then when you get in there, it's not just a headstone, but you find out it's a headstone of a prominent military officer who died in battle, or the headstone has magnificent artwork. What did this person do in life? Were they industrialists? Were they wealthy? Were they politicians? Now that's part of the fun as well. Sometimes you can find it out instantly, especially now with a smartphone. You can just pull it out of your pocket and Google somebody's name. So that's that's an interesting point, an aspect of this whole project.
This urban jungle is just like modern towns. What we leave unattended for a moment disappears into oblivion. What is not useful fades away. Whether you're a veteran of independence or the founder of a city, it makes no difference. Today's world only holds on to what it thinks can serve it. American Masonry experienced its biggest numbers in terms of membership after the Second World War and up to the 1980s. Now this last generation has retired. These Masons of the Third Age continue their journey. Some have even decided to live together. I went to the Masonic village in Elizabethtown to meet them. This Masonic home was founded by the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania in 1910.
At that time, we had 85 residents. It was a vision for the future. Today, we have over 1,900 residents in this campus.
It's the largest Masonic village in Pennsylvania. It's the best possible place I could live, and they're always looking out for you. And they won't kick you out once they take you in.
The Masonic fraternity built this knowing that they were caring for people who couldn't afford to pay. And they wanted to provide the absolute best. Freemasonry, I think, tries to extend that all the time.
We're here together to further our life in Freemasonry and also to have the assurance that we are taken care of through later life, which only the Masons here can assure us.
All possible services imaginable are available to the residents, including naturally a Masonic temple, designed to reflect a very modern style. This village is not unique. Demand is such that 4 other identical villages have been built in Pennsylvania. The profound changes in American society have greatly reduced the influence of Freemasonry. While individualism rules nowadays, altruism hasn't disappeared. Everyone has the freedom to be useful to society in the way that suits them best. The Shriners have been organizing generous collections of funds for a century. Some, as here in New York, dress up as clowns to entertain children and adults. Others organize shows. In this way, they fund 22 hospitals. The Order of Shriners exists in parallel with Freemasonry. This order is made up of 400,000 Masons who've decided to focus their Masonic undertakings not on themselves, but on behalf of society outside the temples. I set off for Georgia, one of the southern US states. I've come to meet a charity group, the Widow's Sons. Each Widow's Sons chapter is geographically connected with a state. This is the Georgia chapter, known as the Lion's Paw chapter.
When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't you ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die.
These Masons are tough guys with big hearts. Gary is their coordinator.
That I want to be on the positive side of humanity. To have people that I know, like these brothers here, that I can call upon at any time and they will be there.
Several years ago, they decided to adopt a little girl who was being affected by family difficulties.
We're covering the aspects of Masonry, and he plays a prison song.
We love prisoners too.
In the lodge, we do several fundraisers a year. We do 2 barbecues a year. We're raising funds for the Shriners Hospitals. We've got a fishing tournament coming up next weekend. We have bucketing we do where we stand on the street and just collect money from the unsuspecting public. Last year, our Shrine Center in Atlanta, we donated $1 million. We try to raise at least $1 million a year for them, which we succeeded many years in doing that.
These guys, they're my family. When I'm off from work or the lodge. This is what we do.
Will not be cursing or forgiven when I walk along some railroad track and find.
This generous action gives meaning to their undertaking and strengthens their Masonic bonds. In their own small way, they're making the world a better place. Ever since the start of this American stage, I hadn't come across any African-American brothers.
Even when I'm asleep, ooh, I'm gonna let it shine.
Yet, there are a lot of them. I set off to find them in Atlanta in the Prince Hall Masonry.
Let it shine, let it shine.
I think that we as Masons, we have a responsibility. Be good men, be upright men. You know, be leaders in our community, be leaders in our family. You know, lead our children in the right direction. Make sure that our family is good to go. You know, and provide relief to widows and orphans. I mean, it's all in what we practice. You have to practice what you preach.
This organization is 200 plus years old. Prince Hall Masonry is embedded. It's a part of the fabric in the African American community.
In 1778, Boston's Black Masons formed a lodge called African Lodge No. 1. In 1807, a Grand Lodge made up of African Americans was founded. It's called Prince Hall in tribute to one of its founders.
If you learn the history of Prince Hall, the man himself, in my opinion, he was the John Major of Peace. He was our first civil rights leaders for African Americans in America.
This Prince Hall Grand Lodge, initially recognized by the other Grand Lodges, would soon be ignored by all existing masonries. After the abolition of slavery in the United States, the former Southern Confederate states would impose a regime of racial segregation. The brothers of Prince Hall would suffer this segregation simply because of the color of their skin.
Now I can be proud because I know the struggles that they went through. I know the trials and tribulations that they face. So now I can identify myself and be proud to be a Prince Hall Mason.
Shine on me, oh, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me.
It would have to wait until 1990 for the Grand Lodge of Washington to partly put an end to this situation. Partly because even today, the Grand Lodges of the 9 southern states perpetuate the separation between their lodges and the Prince Hall lodges.
What makes it so difficult, or what is the bridge burner that keeps us separate? Because there's a bridge that's getting burnt, but yet I think it's the acceptance of change. When you grew up in a certain generation in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, you're stuck in a certain mindset to where the younger generation wants to accept that, but the older generation is keeping them from accepting it.
If you're truly practicing Freemason as you say you are, those barriers need to come down. It's happening up north already, and it's a beautiful thing. When I get an opportunity to travel up north and fellowship with my Caucasian brothers, my Puerto Rican brothers, my brothers of colors, it's a beautiful thing. But naturally, reality sets back into place when we come back home here in the South.
Today, the Prince Hall lodges play a fundamental role within the African American communities. More than ever, the issues of identity and emancipation of the individual are at the heart of this masonry. The Mount Pisgah Lodge, number 53 in Columbus, was founded in 1888. In the entrance hall, my eye's drawn to a photo propped up on the floor. It shows the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King speaking in the lodge's gala room. In order to understand his presence at the lodge, I went to the local Black History Museum.
This is a program in which we had observed Dr. Martin Luther King's coming to Columbus, July the 1st of the 1958.
In 1956, the leaders of the Columbus Civil Rights Movement had been assassinated. One of the Prince Hall brothers asked Dr. King to come to Columbus to revive the movement. He therefore decided to come in 1958, but no church would agree to welcome him for fear of reprisals and fires.
So John, the Grand Master, told him to open up the Prince Hall Masonic Temple. That's where he's going to speak.
All the people in this photo have gone, except for one whose legs you can see in the bottom left of the picture. That's Minnie. I was able to find her. She's 101 now and remembers everything about that evening at the lodge with Dr. King.
It was a calm meeting. Calm, very calm. He never did do nothing like want to fight and all like that. Most of it was peace. And that's what I want to bring in with the children, that we work together in peace and not shooting and all like that.
We are making any real progress in the struggle to make racial justice a reality in the United States of America.
This is her husband, the Mason, who was on top of the building.
To secure him, they had Masons placed on the roof, and the instructions was to shoot anybody down that's trying to come into this building.
In spite of the wounds and the humiliations of the past, the brothers of Prince Hall have always shown willing. They marched for equality of rights and in law, and have been courageous when facing danger. Today's future will be better for them than for their fathers. There's a place where the word brotherhood means something. It's here, in Georgia.
I hope when I see it in my lifetime that here in Georgia, that most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia and the Grand Lodge of Georgia, our counterparts, can dwell together in unity. As we say with Psalms 133, behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. That's what I hope for.
I continue my journey in the direction of the state of Parana in southern Brazil. It's here that I'm seeking one of the most remarkable temples. It's isolated in the Pacific forest, a humid region that's very difficult to reach. Far from view in the midst of nature, here is the wall-less, roofless Masonic temple. It's open to nature, the sky, and the cosmos. This temple is open to every lodge in the world.
I wanted something different, something which represented all the Masonic lodges of the universe. I didn't want one single Masonry style, one aspect of Freemasonry. I wanted a pure Freemason style. And this temple is the result. This place represents the strength of Masonic lodges worldwide.
There is a second one. This is another temple, the first founded on the edge of this magnificent village of Antonina. This is a charming village with a wonderful, relaxed atmosphere. This temple is striking. Difficult not to notice it in this neighborhood. This is Estrella Lodge number 1, founded in 1869. It has all the traditional Masonic ornamentations you'd find anywhere in the world. However, what I will discover is surprising.
My father-in-law told me they paid. At that time, they knew some elders who emancipated, who granted freedom to the slaves that existed at the time when the lodge was founded. This lodge's mission was to help free the slaves.
They bought the slaves, and then they gave them their freedom. And in 1888, all the slaves were freed by an imperial decree.
Masonry was therefore founded here on the coast of Brazil by liberator Masons so they could buy slaves and give them their freedom. It's an oral tradition handed down in this lodge since its creation, but they can't prove their claims. So I'm setting off again for Buenos Aires. The archivist of the Grand Lodge of Argentina is known for his expertise. I ask him whether there is any evidence for this story.
This is a document which is very important in the history of the abolition of slavery. In 1855, the Grand Orient de France launched an international public opinion campaign for the abolition of slavery in Brazil. In Brazil, at that moment in time, there were many Masons who were in favor of slavery. From this moment onwards, there was a Republican social movement which sought to abolish slavery.
So the story of Antonina Lodge is true. Masons there gave slaves their freedom 19 years before slavery was abolished in Brazil in 1888. I'm on my way to find a third astonishing Brazilian temple, the Mountain Temple. It was built by a slightly eccentric Polish architect mason. This massive temple undoubtedly holds the most surprises, a real treat. First of all, there's a vast labyrinth under the temple, a complicated path strewn with esoteric symbols. There's another secret passageway that runs under the east up to the center of the temple. The altar is lit up once a year at every solstice by natural light passing through a little window. The summer solstice, the longest day of the year, has been celebrated by Freemasons and by the whole of humanity since the earliest times. There are 450,000 Masons in Brazil. That's nearly 10% of Masonry worldwide. The number of Masons has multiplied by 20 since 1945. This growth is remarkable despite the evangelical and Catholic churches that still reject Freemasonry.
Here in Brazil, Masonry is very closed, very traditional. People don't know what it is or how it functions. They're unfamiliar with it. The Brazilian Evangelical Church and its pastors are against it. It's banned. Until recently, the Catholic Church had banned it too. Masons were expelled from the church. I'm a shopkeeper. I just can't tell everyone I have anything to do with Masonry. I have to hold back. I can't say to many people that Masonry is a good thing.
Spiritualities play a huge role in this continent country. There's one for every taste. Many grand lodges exist alongside one another in the Anglo-Saxon tradition, or others that refuse to impose the belief in a creator principle.
The main issue relates to cultures that sometimes produce a different way of treating Masonry in relation to the question of universality. But universality, the principles underpinning Masonry, are identical in every country of the world.
Masonry arrived in South America via Argentina in Buenos Aires with the celebrated José de San Martín, the liberator Freemason who gave Argentina, Chile and Peru their independence from Spanish domination. Being a Freemason, San Martín was refused burial in the cathedral. No matter, the solution was to build his tomb outside the cathedral walls. But the public actually have to go through the cathedral to pay homage to him. Buenos Aires has numerous Masonic buildings. One of them is Lodge Hijos del Trabajo, number 74, founded in 1882.
De las luces que a lo lejos van marcando mi retorno.
While the temple was being restored, a secret passage enabling occupants to flee in the event of danger was discovered.
Y aunque no quise el recuerdo, siempre se vuelve al primer amor.
I take advantage of this brief stopover to visit an old lodge, Unión del Pilar, number 127. This lodge was established in an unusual location, a shopping mall. Its temple was erected there. which was also founded at the end of the 19th century by European immigrants, like all the lodges in Argentina.
This is Hebrew and means abracadabra. This is the mother of life and death. This is the four elements, and the sun and the moon, and the phrase that...
Truth is the daughter of time.
After meetings, the brothers come together for a meal in the heart of this shopping centre once it's closed and is empty for the day. It's practical. There's a large car park, a restaurant and security. I'm setting off again further south, flying over Patagonia, then over the mountain range of the Andes as far as Tierra del Fuego. These imposing areas are barren and inhospitable. The Andes rise up here in a natural canal called Beagle in tribute to the ship that carried Charles Darwin. Beyond this canal is Cape Horn, then the Antarctic. Ushuaia is a deep water port that runs along the Beagle Channel. It's the world's southernmost town. Yet a century ago, this town didn't exist. There were only mountains and a prison, one of the most frightening in the world. No prisoner has ever been able to escape from this penal colony.
I was chosen by my brothers as the first Grand Master of the Lodge. Fin del Mundo, number 496.
When we first started, this lodge didn't have a meeting space. That's why we looked for a space. And due to its emblematic qualities, the old Ushuaia prison seemed like, well, an interesting place to establish our lodge.
This is where the infirmary was located. Many people died here. It's not an ideal place for a meeting devoted to the light. But this is what we had to work with. It's filled with plenty of things, many stories, and lots of energy. We don't know what energy that is. For me, an open acceptance of Freemasonry means accomplishing. In my particular case, my ancestors gave this to me. But above all else, it's about growing as a person. These belong to my grandfather. There is Freemason decorations. This is my grandfather, Fabian Onsari. I have a few of his decorations. And the rest belong to my father. His apprentice and companion aprons. They're made from quality lambskin. And his master apron. This legacy is important to me. My uncle gave me all this to remember my father by.
In their way, the Brothers of the End of the World Lodge are reviving the whole history of Freemasonry. After founding Argentina's youngest lodge in the prison, they undertook the construction of their own temple in a house away from the town. It is an ambitious project for the lodge's 21 brothers. They're financing this building themselves.
By having our own building, it makes things a lot easier. And this bond, we feel, is made a whole lot stronger. We can decorate it however we wish while respecting our tradition. I think it's a representation, a concept of the universe we live in, a representation of the human body and mankind. This doesn't mean that there's no religious feeling. It's a feeling of tradition, a feeling of understanding this universal architecture. It's a feeling of learning and harmony, a feeling of universal principles.
Principio universal.
At this moment in time, I believe my time is running out. I'm at a loss for words. When you feel something this strongly, it's a wonderful thing. There are no words or phrases which could express what I am feeling.
Revelar la sensación que uno tiene.
The brothers from the end of the world are building their temple with few resources in a testing climate. It's the story of Masonic history so far. The creation of a lodge takes time, and here it took 3 centuries for Freemasonry to become established in Ushuaia. I'm leaving the South Pole to return to Norway near the North Pole. This is the longest stage of this journey. The county of Finnmark is a region larger than Switzerland. In the depths of winter, the nights last 23 hours a day. Morten Virkola lives in Tromsø. We're going to travel together the last 560 kilometers that separate us from Hammerfest, the northernmost town in the world.
Today it's very nice, in fact. A little bit snow, no storm. For driving, it's very perfect weather.
The distances between towns are considerable, and some brothers, such as Morten, take a whole day to reach the lodge.
When I'm going to the lodge meeting in Hammerfest, I have about 8 to 9 hours. The Christmas meetings are always special. It's a very touching moment for me, and even talking about it, I get a little bit, I feel moved.
Hammerfest is the northernmost town in the world. It has always been an important port in the Arctic. There, opposite, is the North Pole. People have known about these Nordic lands since antiquity. The Greek geographers call it Ultima Thule, the edge of the world. Norway's youngest lodge was founded here some 20 years ago, and for that reason is known as Ultima Thule. Celebrating the Christian holiday of Christmas is an important event here. It's therefore an opportunity to redecorate the lodge's front door. This masonry is very special, for it has adopted a ritual found only here in Scandinavia. It's the Swedish Rite.
Norwegian Freemasonry comes from, of course, London via Germany. The first lodge here was initiated in 1749 in Oslo, and today we are approximately 18,000 members of the Grand Lodge of Norway.
The top hat is a legacy from German Masonry. The Swedish Rite consists of a system with 10 degrees. Each brother bears the sash and the apron representing the degree he holds. This rite was invented in Stockholm in the 18th century. Sweden was at war against Denmark and France. The King of Sweden, Charles XIII, didn't want a Freemasonry identical to that of his rivals. He invented a Christian and Templar-based rite. Access to the lodge is therefore reserved only to Christians. How can the Grand Lodge of Norway reconcile its tradition in a globalized world?
I don't know the solution yet, but I can tell you that it is definitely a topic that is being spoken about, not only among our leaders, but also in the different lodges.
Jan Roger Fredriksson is in charge of coordinating rituals at Ultima Thule Lodge, and he works in office cleaning to support his family.
And always a little dirty, so you feel you're doing something useful. And the first apprentice, it was terrible. It was very, very a hard experience. It was tough. So I was shocked. I needed a long time to be able to look at these people again. So it was hard. It was a hard experience. I believe I needed some kind of coursing, and I read a lot of literature, but it told me nothing. It was like blah 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 in a way. It's what is this? So I put some energy in this project, and I understood there's got to be something. I was feeling I was put in a structure that brought to life virtues. They were not only words, but they were brought to existence, and we were, in a way, making them alive inside the lodge. It's putting you in a position where some strings attached to your spiritual life are touched, and something's happening. It's a path. Walking slowly, I think, but it's a path.
Everyone is focusing on the light during the dark time. It's a very dark blue sky, only very little light, but still it's the light that is amazing and fantastic.
The extreme climatic conditions, isolation, and long distances shape a particular relationship to life. This philosophy of existence is embodied by a people who have lived here for thousands of years. The Lapps, who are known locally as the Sami, their territory extends as far as Russia. The brothers of the Ultima Thule Lodge maintain very strong bonds with the Sami, the worshipful master in particular, who shares their nomadic life with them during the summer.
Sometimes you meet the bad weather. Even if in your life you will get in situations that you have to think about that you didn't have sun always. The weather is changing. So it is our life. We belongs to this earth. But most important is that you didn't give up. Even if you are living in the very badly situations, you have to remember you got sun one day.
The Ultima Thule brothers, isolated as they are, live an introspective, meditative, mystical kind of masonry. The ice-cold nights for 6 months of the year doesn't explain it all. This lodge is small, which is very rare in Norway. The lodges of the big towns generally number several hundred members. The Grand Lodge of Norway would like to open up to the world, but hasn't yet found a way, because fitting tradition with modernity is a very difficult task. France and its revolution invented the slogan liberty, equality, fraternity. Traditionally, there's a single Grand Lodge for each state. Here, more than 30 Grand Lodges coexist, and new ones are established every year. From spiritual to atheist Masonry, it's impossible to paint a picture of them. That's why I chose to get away from the big towns and go to the Vosges in eastern France. The countryside there is magnificent. Freemasons live off this forest and work there.
I love forests. They're my passion. A forest is pure nature, and man is small. Cutting down a tree means nothing. You know, I'll never leave this place. The Vosges are our roots.
The town of Saint-Dié-des-Vosges is right in the heart of this countryside.
We had 3 successive lodges here, which have gone through a lot. Les Amis Incorruptibles des Vosges, etc. We have a long history in this temple, which isn't necessarily any big secret.
The Lodge of Saint-Dié is remarkable and unknown to the general public. On its east side is a stained glass window that today has heritage status. It's the work of a famous French craftsman, Jacques Grubert. This lodge was dedicated to education, progress and work. It's a legacy of late 19th century French Masonry, which campaigned at the time for greater social justice. Today, the Vosges region is having to deal with a difficult economic crisis and consequently political problems that are a bad sign for the future. The Masons feel very isolated and concerned.
I work to preserve a legacy for our children. That's my commitment. The legacy we leave behind, the state of the planet. It's worrying to see all this pollution. And this isn't a good legacy. I always feel guilty about this. This is my commitment to Freemasonry.
I earn a living through my work with the sheep. I shear the sheep's wool. Then, in the evenings, I'm wearing my sheepskin apron. Being able to meet people from all walks of life has given me a much wider view of the world outside of agriculture.
Knowledge is experience. It's what you learn every day. And this helps you in the lodge. As an apprentice Mason, you mustn't talk for a set period. You listen. It's very rewarding. After, you realize that you've learned a lot from listening. You don't learn by talking. You learn by listening. You can't do your best work without incredible rigor. You need good foundations. If the cornerstone is solid, the building will be sturdy and well built as well. If the square is straight, this creates a building which will stand the test of time. Going to the lodge allows you to find strength, which can be then shared with the outside world. I see a lot of people. Many young people come here. I spend a lot of time with them. This allows me to question things and to think differently.
Society doesn't function in an egalitarian manner. It doesn't offer everyone the same opportunities. And Freemasonry rectifies this. And Freemasonry offers good-hearted men the chance to enter these lodges so they can perfect themselves and have every possible means to be able to work effectively.
Masonic tradition has retained these values of growth, altruism, and brotherhood. It's designed to be egalitarian, the bearer of the values of the secularized French Republic. I still have 6 months traveling to complete this tour around the world in 80 lodges. This journey will take us to the east. The most surprising discoveries are still to come. In this second episode, we'll discover together other astonishing temples, the meaning of freedom and peace, stories that have never been told, ancient universal wisdoms, and above all, we will find out what the future holds for Masonry.